I literally emptied my bank account to start my first company.
Wow.
Literally 100 to 0 lah.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Undefined talk show. So this talk show is basically about inspiring our viewers to basically take unconventional routes. And we do this by interviewing our guests who basically have also gone through similar unconventional route. And today we have someone who basically inspired me to actually start my business and to grow it to a certain extent. And he's basically Evan. So Evan, you can say hi to the camera.
Hi.
So Evan is in the same industry, though we are doing slightly different things, targeting slightly different education system. And basically, I spoke to Evan kind of like right before I started my own business. And Evan gave me a lot of great tips, and a lot of the mindset that I have in starting Ivy Launch also came from Evan. So I thought it would be pretty cool to actually speak to Evan today, who will be sharing more about how he has created a 6-digit business, 7-digit now, 7-digit business, yeah, at the age of 23, which is 8-digit business, okay, at the age of 23, which is to me like pretty damn impressive. Yeah. So maybe Evan, you can introduce yourself and share what you're doing and things like that.
Hi, my name is Evan. I am the manager / director / CEO, whatever you want to call it, of Zenith Education Studio Private Limited. We are okay, for lack of a better professional term, we're a tuition center that runs the A-level syllabus for JC kids. So we currently have about 4 centers across Singapore. We have 2 at Buona Vista, 1 at Potong Pasir, and 1 at Tan Kah Kee. Currently, we're in the midst of opening another 3 centers, so we're expanding another 1 at Buona Vista. I'm literally, after this, going to close another deal for a new unit at Tan Kah Kee, and we are planning to open at Paya Lebar at the end of the year. So currently, we serve close to 1,000 junior college students, and next year, we're expecting capacity to hit about probably 1.7 to 2K students. And eventually, I would say within 5 years, we plan to actually not monopolize, but really just try to help as many lives as we can and target really the entire of Singapore. Yeah, so currently we're also expanding into secondary school. I also got another unit for a secondary school center, and eventually we plan to actually target the other markets because we believe what we're doing and how we're running the company is what it should be the, how do I put it? It should be the
right way to teach. Yeah.
Not right way to teach, but it should be the, I feel it's the most effective, most appropriate way for you to actually run a business or just how to carry out an education company. Yeah.
And you're also a student now, right?
Yes, finishing up. Yeah.
Finishing up. Also, you're graduating.
Yes.
You chose to graduate in year 3. Yeah?
Correct.
Okay, nice. So how do you kind of like juggle between that? Just wondering.
I don't. No, I'll say that in a bit I game the system because I chose modules that is easier for me per se, like things that suit me, like entrepreneurship. Like a lot of the mods, like when I go into it, I naturally understand it very, very well, especially since I'm running my own business. So like a lot of those modules, I don't have a very difficult time compared to my friends doing like finance 3K or 4K modules. They are like struggling on a day-to-day basis. And obviously I have a lot of SUs, I can go on exchange. So I'll say that my university life has been quite relatively easy. Like I was able to maintain first class for like 1.5 years. Yeah, but because I realized that I'm graduating without honors, so it doesn't really matter. So
right.
Yeah, I'm not going to focus as much on it. So next year I'm actually planning on going to NOC, planning to open. I'm currently in the midst of opening 2 other companies actually, which is also education related.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like I know that my time will be spent on
your businesses.
My businesses, so I don't really have as much time to study. But the good thing is I can still maintain my cap quite well.
Right.
And it's not like I'm slacking or freeloading. I actually put in some effort, just that I wouldn't say that my work ethic for school itself is like a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Probably it's a lot lower, maybe a 6 or 7 compared to my peers.
Right.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, the thing is I'm planning to do a master's in 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, the more money graduate.
Masters.
Yeah. Right, because I actually plan to fly to Harvard.
Oh, okay.
To do like a master's in education there. Like I wanted to do an MBA, but I realized like it might be too technically rigorous, especially for someone like me who doesn't really come from like a more technical background.
Right.
So I realized a master's in education is more suitable for me because I realized that, I mean, I'm in it to stay. I'm in the education industry all the way
Right.
So right now Harvard's offering a 2-year online masters, which is equivalent to the physical masters, just that it's conducted online
Right,
instead.
from Singapore.
Yeah, so
okay.
I mean, I guess this new norm is helping me in a certain way.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it about education that really gets you?
I think when people ask me about education, I always tell them the same thing. It's about opportunity and it's about empowerment. I feel like I have a lot of friends in other businesses, such as
Right.
e-commerce or even financial advisory or real estate, or a lot of the lower barrier to entry industries that people our age can get into.
Right.
Can you make a lot of money? Yes, but I feel like for me, it's not really so much about the money. It's really
Right.
about the impact that you can have on the lives of the people around you. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like right now, even at my current financial status, I'm very satisfied with life. Like, will earning more money make me happier? I realize that it's already at the diminishing stage whereby you earn another X amount, it
Yeah.
won't really make you happier. So I think for me, when I looked at what really makes me happy, what really makes me satisfied, it's really about helping others.
Right.
So I realized that since young, on a day-to-day basis, just helping others, seeing people smile, seeing their lives genuinely being impacted, I realized that that's what I want. And I realized that long term, I can't see myself in a desk-bound job. I need something more hands-on.
Yeah.
I need something that can really impact the lives of people around me. And ultimately, education is that one industry whereby, okay, I mean, finances is still important and work-life balance is still important. But I think even if I were to ignore the fact that the work-life balance is very good, the pay is very, very good, more importantly is about how I can change the lives of literally anyone in the world, which is
Right.
what I'm aiming to do long-term.
And how do you get into like this mindset? Like, is this? I mean, you mentioned that from young you wanted to do that, right? But education per se, like, how do you like choose education as this means?
I wouldn't say I chose it per se. I think I actually fell into it.
Okay.
So I always tell the same story when people ask me like how exactly did I get started. It's honestly a very, very conventional way people get started. It's just that I managed to scale differently. So when I was in JC, I started teaching my own friends. Like, I still remember a clique of like 6 or 7 of us. I used to teach them every single week. Yeah, and eventually a lot of them told me, hey, actually, wow, you can teach very, very well, better than our school teachers. Then when I heard that, I was like, wow, a bit shocked. Yeah, so I decided, you know what, after I graduated from JC, I'll just continue. And at the start, it was just like, I won't even call it side passive income. I'll call it meaning like just nothing to do, waiting for army. Because I had a delayed enlistment. I only enlisted in July.
Okay.
So I just continued to teach and then that lasted all the way until like nearing the end of army. I realized that actually this is something that I can foresee myself doing long term, and it checks all the right boxes. In terms of how many hours must I work versus how much I'm making. The work-life balance relative to the income is actually quite unparalleled. Like if I look at IB, if I look at consultancy, if I look at any of your bigger, more established industries like law or medicine, like technically they can earn very, very good income as well, but the work-life balance is atrocious. I literally last night I was reading an article about how like all the junior doctors in hospitals are all like leaving because of the work-life balance.
Saw that also,
right? So I think in army I realized I checked all the right boxes, but at that point I'll say early February 2019, I was still a bit undecided because I got offers from the top UK universities, and it was my dream since young to actually go to London to study. I didn't want to go Oxford, Cambridge. I always wanted to go experience city life in London. So I got into my dream school, which is UCL, and I actually wanted to be an environmental lawyer when I was since young. You go watch How I Met Your Mother or not?
Yes.
Yeah,
Marshall.
I think I watched too much and then I was like, wow, environmental lawyer, quite a noble profession. Really can impact the world. But I think towards the end of army, I decided, you know what, just stay, give it a chance, see where it goes. And I deferred I didn't defer. I actually rejected my offer to go to London to study, because I told myself that if I were to accept it and defer it, there's always that backup option at the back of my head. Whereas if I were to reject it completely, then I'm basically going to be, I won't say stuck in this predicament, but more of I know that I have to give 100% for this venture. I always tell all my friends, all my mentees that at the end of the day, if you don't give 100% for one venture, then how do you compete with people who are giving their 100%? So if you give 50%, even if you're 1.5 times more competent, you're not going to be able to compete if you're going to do it half-heartedly. So I decided to stay in Singapore. I literally emptied my bank account to start my first company.
Wow.
Literally 100 to 0. So I think it was a massive leap of faith in juggling university at the start and trying to manage everything. It took a big toll on my health. It was very, very stressful, but I mean, that's entrepreneurship for you. The first few years is going to be a big hustle, and then eventually it's going to get a lot easier once you hire the right team, once you find the right people to lead beside you. But the first few years are definitely going to be tough, and I think that's something that deters a lot of people our age from actually trying all these different businesses out, because the first few years is going to be rough, and a lot of them along the way they decide to give up.
I see. Yeah. And how did you kind of like why do you decide to just like you mentioned, empty your bank account or like go all in? Like what's the process? Because you mentioned that you started off with like kind of like teaching your friends for free, right? Then how did it like snowball into that?
I think it was just over time I realized that this could actually be an actual business. Like before me, there were also other people, like I wouldn't say my age, a bit older, that also started their own company and they're doing relatively well. Right. So I was like, if they could do it, like why can't I? So I feel it's very important to look forward to see if there's anyone else who has went through the same predicaments as you and they were able to succeed, which is actually somewhat inspiration for me to actually be motivated to do the same, because I know that it has been done and therefore I can do it too. With that being said, I feel like ultimately I'm the kind of person that doesn't like to waste opportunities. I realize that a lot of people our age always say, there's a lack of opportunities. There aren't really a lot of opportunities for us to seize, because you always say, we want to seize every single opportunity, but they always complain there are none. But the thing is, there are actually a lot of hidden opportunities, or like even explicitly is there. It's just that people don't know how to seize it, or people let it slip by. Or and it can be they don't have enough information, they are not confident enough. That's totally fine. It's just that for me, I cannot let myself miss any opportunity, and I need to make sure that I'm able to make the fullest out of it, because I'll consider myself quite blessed, because I get these opportunities which other people don't. Be it whether by luck or be it matter by just chance, who knows, but because they are there, I told myself that if I don't actually seize these opportunities, then like 5 years, 10 years down the road, I'm going to regret. Maybe like 10 years down the road, I have my law degree, maybe I'm a lawyer, but I always will have that lingering thought in my mind, what if? Correct. And I think I really hate the question what ifs. So I rather just do it. So a lot of people are like they always think of a lot of ideas, but I'll say that while I am a thinker, I'm more of a doer. So when I think of something, I'll do it on the spot. Especially like my other businesses right now, like I think of ideas and then I immediately execute. Just that now my time is a bit stretched in, so I always I've been trying to hire more people to actually run for me. I'm able to provide the funding, and then they're able to actually execute the ideas on my behalf.
So just curious question, right? You mentioned that you don't like to think about the what if.
Correct.
But have you ever thought of like, what if you became an environmental
definitely. I mean, ultimately it's a whole different life. I'll say it's a very, very harder life. A lot.
You mean which one? As
an environmental lawyer.
Yes.
Or just a lawyer in general. It's a lot harder of a life. I mean, respect goes out to all my NUS law, SME law, even my LSE law friends. Like it's hard, especially the first few years when you're on your TC, and then your first few years as an associate. Wow, it's hard. But I know that I'm the kind of person, like all these adversity, all these struggles, I'll be able to overcome, because I'll say that I think one of my key characteristics is probably going to be like perseverance and like determination. So I will push through. But I mean, I always think about the what if, but honestly, like when I think about it, I'm like, that life will be a lot more boring than the life I'm currently living. So when I think about entrepreneurship, I think like I think at the back of my head I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but you never know. Correct. So
sense,
I just realized that I fell into it and I love it. So I think everything just worked out.
Nice. Okay. And I think something that I want to ask also is, do you always believe that you should all in at the start?
No, definitely no. I would say that you should only all in when you realize that what you're doing is what is right and perfect for you, and when you know that doing what you're doing is going to ensure that you're able to, at the very least, survive.
Right.
You don't even need to talk about thriving yet. It's
Yeah.
just it's enough for you to make ends meet, and you're doing what you love. I feel like ultimately there's also always a conversation about profit versus passion. Right? Do you do something in order to make more money, or do you follow your passion? And very, very often there's going to be a trade-off in between the two. For example, I have friends that hate investment banking. I have friends that hate sales and trading. I have friends that hate consultancy, but yet they do it because of the prestige, because of the profit.
Right.
Correct? Even though it's not their passion, they know that they want to try other things. They know that it's not right for them.
Right.
So I think in a way I'm very, very blessed because I get the best of both worlds. I get passion and profit. But I feel that for most people, up to the point where they know what they're doing can ensure both passion and profit, I think that they should continue to not give 50% because they're not all in, but they can slowly transition. For example, I'll say that if you're running a full-time business, you can just do things at the side, then see how it goes. And eventually, if the income you're making from that side hustle eventually overtakes your own income, then you can actually
Makes more
sense to jump over lah. Because if you're at 50%, you're already like equaling. Imagine you give you 100%, then maybe just using simple logic, then double your income lah.
Yeah.
So I literally have friends, like I have a friend who's a vet. She's doing e-commerce. She's making like more than her starting
she's doing
pay.
e-commerce as
Correct. And I have other friends like in business school. They're doing all sorts of weird businesses, but they are making enough to like be higher than the median starting salary for a fresh grad lah. So I tell them, if you know that this is something they can see yourself doing long term, not like a short term money grab, but something that really 5 years, 10 years you can continue to do, and at least you're happy doing it, I think you can actually take the leap of faith lah. But until then, until you know that you're able to do it long term and survive, I think that you should just continue to dabble in it and understand whether this is really what you should be doing long term lah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sound advice. Because I think a lot of people, like when they try to start something, sometimes they just like all in, and then like they can't even survive. Then they can't focus on their business. And
I think it should be a slow transition lah.
Right.
Like recently I hired two fresh graduates.
Okay.
One is very, very experienced in tutoring, so that one totally fine. I got another one. He knew he liked tutoring. He was tutoring all a while, but he didn't know if it was for him lah.
Right.
So I told him, hey, how about you slowly transition, and like you can just teach a few classes first. Because I mean, he has the appropriate degree, so technical competency is definitely there.
Yeah.
In fact, he took a H3 subject for the subject that he's taking, first class honors. So that guy totally competent, has the soft skills. I told him, honestly, you look at my company success. You know that if you join us, you probably, if you do what we tell you to do, you'll be successful as well. But the question I have for you is, do you really like it? So we let him dabble a bit, and he realized that he loved it lah. So for him, I think it's because he knew that if he were to join us, is the chances of him succeeding is extremely high compared to if he were to just venture out on himself lah. So when he joined us, first month literally zero income. So that one is a bit like, okay, honestly it doesn't really make too much sense, but I think for him, he understood that this is what he wanted to do long term. So and then eventually within 2 months time, he was matching his income at his public sector job, and now it's almost double. Is it double yet? Okay,
like double the public sector job.
Correct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so there are times where you can take leap of faith. There are times where you shouldn't, but it really depends on. I think it's too contextual, whereby different people have different circumstances, and therefore what they should be doing is different. So I'll say, don't take my advice as like general advice for everyone. I think it's really very important to speak to someone who knows their shit, so that they can give you actual advice based on your own predicaments. Yeah.
Okay. And one more thing you mentioned was about the confidence, right? How do you build up that confidence?
I think when I first started out, I wasn't the most confident. I think confidence is something that you need to build up. And like if you don't have the competency and you have confidence, I think sometimes it can lead to an unhealthy sense of ego lah.
Right.
So I'll say that for me, my confidence stems from the fact that I know what I'm doing is important. I know what I'm doing is right. I know what I'm doing is the most effective for the people that I am working with or I'm working for. So I feel like on a day-to-day basis, like I think this knowledge that what I'm doing is going to make a big difference in their life, and what I'm doing is the most effective way of going about doing things, that gives me my confidence on a day-to-day basis. So I think having a very, very firm conviction in what you're doing is very, very important lah. Yeah.
So like you feel like, or you believe that the way you're teaching the kids is really the best way.
Like how I'm teaching them, how I'm running my business in a very ethical and sustainable manner. Like how I am as a person. I feel like how I am is how I should be lah. So I think that gives me the confidence on a day-to-day basis, because people can call me out. People can say, hey Evan, I don't think the way that you're acting is right. Evan, I don't think that how you're teaching is right. Then for me is a case of, so how can I change? Like what suggestions do you have? Is this really true? So I feel like while it's important to have confidence, it's also important to always be a work in progress. I think that's one of the mottos I have, which is I want constant improvement. I don't want to stay in a stagnant state, because you can always improve and further better yourself lah. And I feel like while being confident, you must also make sure that you are ready to actually change and improve anytime you're given constructive criticism lah.
I see. And kind of like how do you know that you are the best? Like what do you think?
How do I know that I'm the best?
Okay, like rather like, okay, so like, because I also run this tuition thing, right? So sometimes like I also know that I'm doing the best, but like the outcome may be totally different.
Okay, I feel like
how do you do with that?
I think for me, how I know I'm doing it the best is because of the results lah. I feel like we're in a very results orientated business, and like I think the distinction rate shows lah.
Okay.
Like for example, last year, I have so many testimonials and examples, but I don't want to like flaunt it, or like I cannot post it too often, because I want it to be, you come in, you experience for yourself, then you judge. I don't want it to be too salesy. I don't want them to say these are all my testimonials. I mean, I will tell them lah in a more general way, but there's a lot of stories that I have never shared before lah. So literally cases of, I'll just share like maybe 2 or 3 lah.
Sure.
Like I think literally every single batch, I take like a 0 percentile, whereby their teachers said, hey, don't even bother aiming for A, just aim for maybe a B. I just hope for a C.
The teachers tell the
literally the teachers, but I understand the teachers want them to be somewhat realistic but literally I can take them from 0 percentile to an A within a span of 3 months. So that shows me what I'm doing is correct, because if their teachers had a full 2 years with them and they couldn't do anything, they come to me and I have this specific way of teaching, or this vastly different approach that gets them the A. That shows me that what I'm doing is correct. Alternatively, like last year, like I had a batch of like 25 to 30 like St. Andrew students. To give context, Saints is a decent school, but I'll say middle of the pack lah, because you have all your top tier schools with like perfect O-level scores that you need to get into at the top. So like for Saints, their distinction rate wasn't that spectacular. It was below,
after going to
at SCJC itself, the average. So I would say, because they don't even publish, I'll say probably about 30% from what I know. So literally I had a class of Saints students. All of them came to me, all failing, but that class eventually 78% distinction rate. So I compare your school 30% versus me 78%, and all these statistics are all tracked lah. I have an Excel spreadsheet for the year. So literally all of them willing to do testimonials as well. So all is tracked lah. So they were literally like, when the teacher asked them, so wow, you all got your A, very, very good job. How do you all do it? Then they just reply, oh, tuition. And then obviously the teachers get a bit pissed off. I think school teachers always get pissed off about that. So like just some of these stories, like I know what I'm doing is right. Like even when I talk about, let's just say, no offense, but even the lower tier schools like YIJC, even last batch, I like 5-6 of them, literally 4 of them were A. Like only 2 of them didn't do as well. But I think ultimately tuition is like pie and parcel. Like I can do only so much. I'm not a magic pill, But like it shows that if I have these kind of students coming in to me, and I can still get them their A's, I can still get them the results, then it's effective lah. Correct. What I'm doing is effective lah. And I'll say, because I run probably one of the biggest programs in Singapore, yet with so many students, I'm able to achieve this distinction rate, then it shows what I'm doing is the most effective lah. But beyond that, I think why I have so much confidence is because I really give my 100%. So the curriculum wise, we are doing a lot more than what we are paid for, a lot more than what we need to do, because that's our conviction that what we are doing is literally we're telling the student we're giving you our near 100%. Correct? We're doing whatever we can. So
Yeah.
literally during every single lockdown, first, second, third, this is the third lockdown. Instead of doing one lesson, we're doing 2 or 3 a week. And we don't even charge them extra. We said, hey, because now it's online lesson, okay, why want to teach the same lesson 6 times a week?
Yeah.
Okay, how about I teach Monday, Tuesday, one lesson, Wednesday, Thursday, one lesson, Friday, Saturday, one lesson. So literally, you all can come for multiple lessons a week.
Yeah.
So they pay for 1, they get 3. So
Wow.
in a year, instead of like, let's just say hypothetically 50 lessons, they come for 70 or 80 lessons because of the double lesson period.
I see.
So literally, the amount of preparation they get, the amount of exposure, it's vastly different from what they get in their schools.
Right.
And if you compare someone who has been through 5 times, 10 times the workload or content versus someone that comes from your school,
Yeah.
obviously there's going to be a very, very stark difference.
Right.
So knowing that my tutors go the extra mile, doing more than what we need to, really gives me the confidence to say that we are probably doing it the best way. And
Yeah.
it gives me the confidence to know that the lessons I'm doing, if it weren't for these lessons, the students won't get the grade that they would.
Yeah.
So I think that really is what makes me wake up happy every single day, knowing that what I'm doing has a genuine impact on the lives of the people I'm working with. And I feel like I won't say confidence. I think I'm shifting away from confidence a bit. This conviction is something that resonates within all my tutors, who really all of them will go the extra mile just to make sure that the grades are good. Yeah, but I think confidence is something that's built over time. It's not something that can be immediately there. And if it's immediately there, I would say it's most likely not confidence but ego.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, and just backtracking a bit, I'll get into like, you know, how you've got your team and stuff, but backtracking a bit, so you were doing this alone for quite a while, right? How was that like?
I think it was scary at the start because you have no one to actually fall back on. You have only yourself, and then but that actually means that if you don't give your 100%, if you don't really do your best in every single aspect of the business, then you're going to fail.
Right.
So if at the start everything I handle, I just gave my 100% for everything. And it takes time, but eventually other people can see your own conviction, other people can see where you're progressing, and other people will want to join your team. And I'm actively hunting for people who will fit the mold, for people who can play a role. Because ultimately, while I am building a business, I feel like more importantly, I'm building a legacy. Not only for me, but for all my tutors, because they know that what we're trying to build, which is going to go beyond just a conventional tuition center, which is going to go beyond just a conventional school, is something that will leave an impact on future generations. And I think that's my long-term vision, really not just temporary change for our current generation, but to really make sure that I leave something for the future, which is even the kids.
It's more of the system.
Correct, the system, the technology, the entire infrastructure for future generations. I feel like I don't want to think of it only short term. I want to see myself. So I want to ask myself, where do I see this going 10 years, 20 years? And I really know where we're headed towards. Yeah, so at the start it will be tough. That's something that is definitely going to be the case unless you are blessed to have more resources, unfair advantages, but that's just how the world works. You can't go up to someone and say, hey, you're rich, so like screw you, have these opportunities I did not have. I feel like even for me, I come from a decent but not affluent background. I don't have any clear advantages. I always tell people I don't have any particular skill sets that really makes me stand out. But knowing that I don't have a clear, distinct advantage made me work double or triple as hard, because I know that people who have the advantage, they can probably work like 50% or 60% as hard and still do better than me. But for me, I need to make sure that I give it my 100% and really constantly improve, so that I can actually match and overtake these people who started out with a more unfair advantage.
Makes sense. Actually, that's quite interesting. So you kind of use what your, lack of better phrase, lacking to use that as a spurring energy for yourself.
Correct. Okay. So even my ability to speak well, I wasn't born with it. I was born with a speech deficiency. So when I was young, I didn't even dare to talk. But because in JC I decided to do drama as a subject, so that actually helped me to improve my speaking competency. And then at the same time, am I the smartest? Not really. Literally, when I compare all the tutors at my company, I'm probably in the bottom 3 for PSLE score. Probably bottom 3 for O-level score as well, because I have 3 RJ, I have 6 or 7 Hwa Chong grads, I got multiple first class honors.
Right.
Like I got even like people like literally I think half of my team are scholars.
Wow.
So I'm really at the bottom. So like I'm not someone who's particularly smart. I don't speak well. I don't even have that like I'm not tall, dark and handsome, the attractiveness that like some like students will care about.
Like the physical charisma.
Correct. So I literally have nothing lah. So I realized that it's because of my lack of advantage I had to work even harder.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's quite inspiring. And okay, so can you share with me what you consider to be your first milestone?
I think my first milestone would be when I think the first milestone is just opening a company lah, because technically it was about 2.5-3 years in.
Yeah.
And when I opened the company, milestone in a way that I got my first unit. Like I realized that this is going to be my first unit. This is where all the magic is going to happen over the next few years lah. And that one unit soon became 2. At the end of this year, probably going to become 7 or 8. But I think the first unit is what really let me know that this is possible lah.
It's like legitimate lah.
Correct.
I see. Okay, okay, so something that I kind of realized, I read a lot of like these books, right? I mean, you share with me that you also do that. But like something that I realize always happens is that once for some reason you reach some level of success, there's usually like some pretty bad downfall or struggle that happens. Example is like Steve Jobs after he made Apple became quite successful. He was like kicked out. Has something like this ever happened to you?
I think for me, I haven't had a very, very big, drastic downfall yet. Hopefully I won't. But I think for me, has it been a smooth sailing? On the outside, people might see that, the company ran very well, growing very exponentially. Every single year, 150, 200% growth. But I think internally there were a lot of issues that we had to fix lah.
Can you share some? Like, I mean, those that are not too private.
I think every single one is private lah.
Okay.
Very hard for me to share lah, but it was hard lah. Sometimes I question myself like is what I'm doing right for me, or is the people I'm working with right for the company? Because right now I can't just think of it from a fan point of view. I have to think of it from a business owner point of view. Because ultimately, I'm not only responsible for myself, but also responsible for, number one, the company in terms of the legal perspective, in terms of the people working for the company, but most importantly, the students, because that's who we're serving, that's who this company is for. Correct. So a lot of times I had a lot of problems that were quite difficult to solve, but I would say that I am a problem solver. So if any problem ever emerges, then I will make sure that I do everything it takes to solve it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's just that sometimes the stress does get to me, and sometimes I struggle a lot. But I think that's why it's very important to have the right team to support you throughout the entire journey. People that you know that they are not in it just for the short run, but there are people here that you can easily foresee yourself working with 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the road. You can retire together. So I think that's very, very important, having the right people around you to get through these troublesome times. But to answer your question specifically, no, I haven't had any like specific big downfall. The good thing is right now we're growing at a very steady rate and have a very, very big team. So is it possible that there's going to be that big plunge? Yeah, anytime it can happen. But I think because we are not only very reactionary, but we are very preemptive in nature, we'll be ready to solve it when the time comes.
Nice, that's good. Okay, so you keep talking about this team, right? How do you kind of form this team? Like,
trial and error. A lot of trial and error. I would say that it's very hard for me to judge your competency and your long-term commitment just based off meeting you 1 time, 2 times. Even if I work for you like for a month, I work with you for like a month or 2 months, like it's very hard for me to determine. It's only over time. So sometimes I realize that this person isn't right. Sometimes I realize that this person isn't committed, or sometimes I realize that this person isn't competent enough to maintain the same quality that I expect. But I feel like ultimately at the end of the day, you have to constantly be on the hunt for the right talent, and you can never just say, I have a good team and I can just rely on them. I feel like you need to constantly expand and bring in people who are better to even raise the bar even higher than before. So my first math tutor was the 4th one I met. My first physics tutor was the 3rd one I met. My first chem tutor was the 6th person. Sorry, my current chem tutor is the 6th and 7th chem tutor that I met. So
that you work with.
Correct.
Like,
so
you met as in you work with.
So I have to bring in a lot of tutors, and because for me I look out mainly for soft skills. I look out mainly for whether you're able to engage students. Because by right, I mean, if I hire you as a tutor, the competency is expected to be there, lah. Correct.
It's like the basic,
Correct. So every single person I hire nowadays all have number one, subject relevant degrees. Like in the past I used to hire undergrads. Nowadays no, only either full time or MOE trained. So my next batch of teachers coming in, 3 of them are full time with subject relevant first class honours, or alternatively I got MOE tutors, 2 of them coming in. So in the past I used to hire undergrads. So the thing is, number one, they're not committed enough. So a lot of them, they try for a while, then it doesn't immediately take off. Correct. Nowadays it's different because I have such a big student pool. But imagine like you come in, there's a small student base and you don't grow immediately. It's very, very disheartening. So they don't really commit it to more than 3 or 4 months. But the thing is, because when I bring tutors in, I'm basically sticking my reputation.
Makes sense.
On this tutor. I say, hey, I bring this person in, she's going to uphold the same quality. And very often, like, are they able to provide good lessons? Yes. But are they able to actually uphold the same quality that I'm providing? Sometimes the answer is no. And I have to talk to them and see how I can improve. I see how I can help them improve. See how I can actually change the way that they are currently conducting their lessons to actually match the same quality that I'm providing. But sometimes it just don't work out. So then I have to say, hey, you know what? Like, I can let you teach, but the thing is, you know that you're not doing as good of a job that I'm expecting, and the students are not benefiting. So what's the point? Because at the end of the day, I want to have a business whereby the tutors are in it long term. I want to have a business whereby the students benefit the most. So if the students are not getting the best out of you, and you know that you can't give your best, then I feel like maybe it's just the wrong time, wrong place. So I think it's constant trial and error, but I don't want to risk my students like that. So nowadays I have a very, very comprehensive interview process. I'm setting up a training program. My HR guy is actually developing a training program to actually have all these tutors come in to know what the expectations are, to get them to the quality that we want them to be. But these things can only be done over time. So I say that building a team is very, very hard, because you always need to find the right talent. But just because they might have the competency, just because they might be what you're looking for, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right fit. So I feel like you must be ready to actually embrace that sometimes just because you want them doesn't mean they're the right person. And I feel like often I always want people, I always say, hey, you're perfect for me, but sometimes they turn out not to be the right people. So I think at sometimes you need to realize that, okay, it's better for us to just part ways, because ultimately I think in a business, and when you're an employee or when you're a partner, it must be a win-win-win in terms of it wins for me, it wins for the company, it wins for you, it wins for the student. Everyone wins. Because I think my entire philosophy when I run the company, I think I told you before, you must be better off with me as compared to if you were to go out on your own. So with me, if you're not getting the best out of yourself, then what's the point? So I have people with me, I've literally told them, hey, I think you're with me, right? But the thing is, if you go do something else, tutors, like management, you're with me, but the thing is, if you go do something else, you can be happier or you can make more money. Then why are you with me? Correct? Because I'd rather give this opportunity to someone else who's 100% in, competent, and more importantly, they know that what they're doing makes them the most happy and satisfied, compared to you, whereby it's not that they're half-assing, it's just that they're not truly happy, or they're not making the full use out of their potential. Correct. Okay, so I think
it's like holding them back.
Correct. It's holding them back, it's holding me back. So it must be a win-win-win scenario. Because I think in the recent 1 year, I've like 2 of people actually fall into that category. They're decent, they're good enough. But are they truly happy? And if they were to do something else, could they be better? I think that's very, very important, because I'm building a sustainable model. I don't want short-term profit. I want to make sure that the people in it with me are people that can see themselves doing it for 10 years, 15 years. And that's why every single person that comes in, I pay them extremely, extremely well, above market rate. I treat them as if they're partners. There's no such thing as boss or employees. Everyone is a partner. Everyone has a role to play. No one is, in a way, no one is dispensable.
So now we are going on to the last segment. Just kind of want to ask you for general tips for people who want to start something or venture onto something that's considered like quite unconventional. Like most of in Singapore especially, like our parents, even my grandma always tells me like, don't do other things, just go and study. So what advice would you give to someone that's thinking of doing these things?
Okay, I would say that there's no harm finishing up your degree first, then venturing off to try to explore like what you are interested in.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if you compare the two scenarios, let's just say you're still a university student, technically you don't really have technically you have a safety net, whereby if you mess up your business or it doesn't go the way that you planned it to be, then technically you can still fall back on your degree. Compared to if you have your degree already and you go and try to do all these things, technically there's going to be an opportunity cost involved. You can go work a full-time job and earn money and take care of your family. So I'll say that once again, to each is its own. If you are still a university student, my recommendation would be to just try to dabble and slowly grow. You don't have to give your 100% and all in yet, but you can just see where whether it can take off, and like whether you can build it to something where you're confident enough for you to say, you know what, I can actually focus more on my business, focus less on school. Not saying that you should just entirely neglect school. I think it's still important to graduate with a degree. I still think it's important to do well and give your best. But it's about what's best for you long term. Because ultimately, what's the point of getting a degree? It's really to make sure that you get into a career which you can see yourself doing long term. Correct? So if you can find out what is meant for you early on, I mean, that's perfect, and you should explore it, but you shouldn't really fully commit yourself to it until you're ready. So, you know how I thought about giving you 100%? I feel like giving you 100% only comes at a stage when you know that what you're doing is what's meant for you, and you know what you're doing is something that you can see yourself doing long term. So when I decided to give my 100%, I think at that point I really knew that this is something I could do long term. Am I 100% confident? No, but I knew that it's a possibility. It's a strong possibility. So that's why I gave my 100%. So a lot of students, like, I feel like I have friends in businesses whereby they're doing well, but the thing is they don't know that they are ready to do it long term. And that's why even though they're making a lot more than a fresh grad, they're still not fully invested in it because they don't know whether they can do it for 10, 15 years. So that's why they're still focusing a lot more on school. They're not 100%ing on their degree, which is totally fine because once again, it's too general. I hate all this business advice because it's always going to be a very generalization of what you should do and what you should not do. But ultimately, it really boils down to your own circumstances and like your own position. So I'll say that ultimately, I think the most important thing that anyone should do is to really get yourself a mentor, someone who has been there, done that, and can give you solid business advice. And I can be honest, I feel like the community of entrepreneurs in Singapore is very, very strong and very, very supportive. Because I personally know a lot of business owners. I personally know a lot of people much older than me that are willing to give me advice. So I know that in Singapore particularly, the startup scene specifically is very, very close-knitted, very, very helpful of each other. There is competition, but I would say it's healthy, friendly competition. Even like I'm friends with so many owners of tuition centers. Whenever we go into lockdown, I literally get 6-7 texts coming in from other centers asking me what I'm doing. They share with them, then they share with me, and we collaborate a lot. So ultimately, I would say that with this mentor, they can give you business advice on what you should be doing and what you should not be doing. And I think it's important to have more than just one. I have 2 or 3 because some of them will be very, very good at maybe the technical aspect of the business. Other people will be very, very good in terms of the more qualitative side. So I feel like having business advice that are catered directly to your own predicaments would be better than if you just listen to me to get general advice. Because what I might say might work for some people, but what I say might not work for others. So get a mentor, someone probably in the same industry as you, for them to give you advice continuously, someone that you can constantly text, someone that you know that's willing to reply. And if you have a substantial business, then you can even consider giving advisory shares. If that person is someone that you know that can truly provide you a lot of value, so that he has vested interest in you as well. But other than that, I think like it's very hard for me to give specific advice because I really believe that advice should be catered specifically to each person. So like very often I have a lot of people coming to me for advice. I realize that every single person I'm telling them different things. Like literally last week I had a meeting with someone who's running a fashion company starting from scratch and now doing quite well. The fact is they're breaking even, which is good, especially because I think fashion at the start it's quite saturated and there isn't very, very high barriers to entry, but it takes time for you to build up. So I was giving him a lot of advice and he said, wow, like he's going to law school. But then now he realized that maybe like entrepreneurship is for him. I said, hey, stop right there. Go try first. And then if you don't like law school, if it doesn't resonate with you, because he's doing it just because of his parents, then you can switch to business.
Yeah.
But to each is his own. I think it's very important to find someone that can provide you the specific advice and not just take it from me, because I have a very, very different circumstance as maybe you who are watching right now.
Actually, I think that in itself is excellent advice, because it's like, you know, like there's so much stuff on social media nowadays. Correct. And then like people just take it out of context.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's really good advice.
Correct. Like you can watch like Gary Vee or like Grant Cardone or like all these like very, very popular like inspirational speakers pertinent to like business. But I feel like it's very important for you to also selectively listen, because sometimes what they say might not be appropriate to you. So you also need to make sure you're very careful. But then again, it goes into that dilemma. So what is he telling me? Is it correct or not? Like, how do I know how to filter things out? And I think that's why it's very important to have someone to guide you along the entire process.
So how do you find this like mentors?
For me, ironically, I didn't have any clear mentor. I when I first started, I worked for a startup, and then those my bosses then were my mentors per se. But that was like even way before NS. So very, very long ago. But I think that was my first mentorship per se. I think over time I didn't really have a specific mentor, but I got a lot of advice from others. So advice from my lawyers, advice from my seniors, advice from literally everyone. And I got a lot of advice, sometimes contradicting, but it's about taking this advice but not like just blindly following. It's about really absorbing it, understanding it, and see how it might apply to you, and then making use of it, or making use of particular advice which you feel that will have an impact compared to just like blindly following everything.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, actually that's pretty damn good advice. Okay. Okay, so like another question I have is, what would you say to someone that's like currently struggling in what he or she? I mean, I know that it's gonna be quite general, so, but what kind of personal mindset should someone have before starting something?
Okay, I'll say that. Ironically, the word I'll use is you have to be realistic.
Right.
Because very often, I'll say most entrepreneurs are more optimistic in nature, so they only can see the good, but they can't really see the bad.
Right.
They can't really recognize other opportunity, and they can't weigh the opportunity cost well. They just blindly leap into it.
Right.
Because while I've seen a lot of success stories, I've seen a lot of failures as well.
Right.
So I feel like you must be realistic in terms of where can you see yourself in 5-10 years doing this compared to doing other things. Because if there are other opportunities that long term might be better for you, then you need to realize that maybe this isn't for you. Like you can do it for passion, you can do it for fun, but because we're talking about business, right? A long term career choice. Correct? Then you need to be realistic with yourself, and you need to be honest. You need to make sure that you don't lie to yourself, because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs always lie to themselves that, I can make this work, I can succeed. But is that necessarily the case? Maybe not. So I feel like you must first be realistic, and then after you're realistic, then you can really give you 100%. Because once you're honest with yourself and you know that this can go somewhere, this can work, then you give you 100%. But if you lie to yourself and then you give you 100% on something that you're not actually sure, you're not really confident, then actually you're just lying to yourself and you're doing more damage than good to yourself. So be honest with yourself. Really, find someone to talk to. Doesn't have to be a mentor, can be your friend. Share with him everything that you might think about pursuing this line. So I'll say that if you go back to maybe like Ishan a few weeks ago, like for example financial advisory, if you want to do something like financial advisory, talk to your friends. Like the thing is, people might have negative stigma, people might have contrasting opinions, but ultimately the decision is yours, and you want to gather as much opinions as possible. Don't let it influence yourself too much. It's just that you want to know more of a bigger picture. You want to get more information so that you can make a more accurate, I won't say accurate, but more informed choice.
Okay. So thank you to all the viewers who are watching this, and I hope you really learn a lot from Evan. I think I really learned a lot. I mean, I've always been learning from him, but today I learned something new again. So I'd just like to thank Evan again. We'll put your tuition center, the link in the bio, and if you have any questions for Evan, just remember to put them in the comments. And if you like this episode, remember to like and subscribe. And if not, we'll see you in the next week.